On the 18th of April 2017, Anna Bright, a 14-year-old cheerleader, took her life. Anna's death was staged similarly to one in the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. In the TV show, Hannah Baker describes traumatic events leading up to her suicide. The series is flooded with actions and imagery that could be harmful to teens who are experiencing suicidal thoughts. This is why the show has been criticized for glamorizing teen suicide for those on the edge. Hello everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm going to talk to you about how the media glorifies serious mental health issues among its users. There are many different conditions that are recognized as mental illnesses. These can include depression, schizophrenia, OCD, PTSD, as well as anxiety and bipolar disorders, but also intellectual disabilities like autism, learning disabilities like ADHD or dyslexia, and even addictions to alcohol and drugs. According to a recent global study, Middle Easterners suffer from the highest rates of depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, and suicide. In fact, 54% of young Arabs say that quality mental health care is difficult to access. Now is the ideal time to discuss about mental illness. We need to acknowledge the fact that mental health is just as important as physical health and deserves the same quality of support. Sadly, mental illnesses are being exploited as a source of humor, but it seems like people are laughing at others rather than acknowledging their struggles. This makes people believe that they can exploit mental illnesses for jokes, which makes it even more difficult for those affected to be recognized. Today, I will address two particular mental diseases and how they are being misinterpreted, the most common and most severe. I will talk about depression and eating disorders. The majority of evidence that will be called upon has to do with anecdotes that I've heard from others. Despite the fact that these issues have not personally affected me, people around me have been touched by them immensely, which drew my attention to this global issue and taught me its importance. For one who has an unhealthy relationship with food, social media attention can have large impacts. This is especially accurate when it comes to a person's self-image. The unrealistic beauty standards that our society has established is one of the main issues causing the normalization of eating disorders. Some people have started blogs and websites encouraging others to alter their appearance by starving themselves and showing off the achievements on their so-called journey. They attempt to persuade readers that eating disorders are desirable by discouraging men and women from being satisfied with their own bodies. That's disgusting. It's easy to fall into the trap of eating disorders when you're under the pressure of being skinny and constantly being flooded of images of incredibly slim people on social media. Let's take Kate Moss as another example, an iconic supermodel who has been featured on the covers of over 300 magazines. Her famous quote, "Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels," glorifies eating disorders. Growing up, I've struggled a lot with body image, but I always knew that these disorders aren't a simple alternative to weight loss. An eating disorder kills. Studies have shown that using TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, these social media platforms put teen girls and even older women at risk of developing an eating disorders. TikTokers are using hashtags like hashtag eating problems, hashtag food issues, hashtag ED, hashtag starvation to talk about these experiences, even though the hashtag eating disorder is censored on TikTok. These hashtags can be more triggering than helpful to those who are actually suffering from a mental illness. And in some cases, an eating disorder may lead to depression, which leads me to my second point. Depression is a horribly common mental illness and one of the main causes of disability worldwide. People with depression can experience sadness, guilt, hopelessness, and even exhaustion. Depression feels like being constantly at war with yourself. And you can't just snap out of it. Depression can also affect sleep schedules and induce thoughts of suicide. Did you know that the Middle East is facing greater problems of depression compared to the rest of the world? Some people are using emotions such as sadness in their photo captions as a way to gain attention. And as a result, other viewers will be influenced by these images and strive to be unhappy as well. People commonly mislabel their sadness as depression, even though the problems that they're dealing with don't always reflect psychological issues. If healthy people continue to convince both themselves and others that they are mentally unstable, people who are actually suffering from these issues might not be recognized. The problem isn't that individuals are sharing these issues on social media, but that others are glorifying and misappropriating these illnesses without proper diagnosis. I used to casually throw around the word depression, in normal conversation around my friends, just like any other teen, as if it's a popular trend. But after educating myself, I realized that people are unaware of their impact on a clinically depressed individual. Finally, in 2016, teenage singer Billie Eilish began to exploit depression in her well-known songs, just like any other artist nowadays. Her music success, as well as her large fan base, is a clear reflection of this generation's tendency to normalize eating disorders. It's okay to hide from the world. It's okay to feel sad or nervous. It's okay to need help. It's okay to feel unstable. But it's not okay to joke about mental illness. I've got tons of problems, and most of them are completely made-up stories in my head that I'm stressing about right now. But that doesn't mean I'm anxious. I have trouble sleeping sometimes, but that doesn't mean I'm an insomniac. I often get mood swings, but I'm not bipolar. We are so accepting of any body part breaking down other than our brains. And that's ignorance. That's pure ignorance. And that ignorance has created a world that doesn't understand mental illness, that doesn't understand mental health. Unfortunately, we live in a world where if you break your arm, everyone runs over to sign your cast. But if you tell people you're mentally unstable, everyone runs the other way. Thank you.